Welcome to Intentional Aging for February 2023. I keep bumping my keyboard. Today we are exploring how to simplify, organize, and create space for what matters most. To take us on this journey, we have Kristin DeCou here with us today. Kristin is a professional organizer and a certified KonMari consultant, and she operates a business here in Clallam County called Modern Refresh. So welcome to Intentional Aging, Kristin. We are so happy to have you join us today. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So Kristin will have the opportunity to share hers.
All right, can you see my screen? Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Karina and Ellen, for having me. I love being able to share about organizing. I feel like this has been my world for the last 5 years, and I love it. It's something that I do without even thinking about it. I think sometimes the thing that you do without having to put on your to-do list is the thing that you love to do. And that's organizing for me. So what I'm going to share today is how you can simplify and organize your life and your home. And we're going to kind of keep at a high level because there's a lot within this topic that we can cover. But essentially, I'm going to address some of the most common questions and challenges that people experience. So, how to get started. What is your why? What are the nitty-gritty of once you get started, how do you go about that? How do you get support? What are the resources that are out there? And then what are action steps that you can take to make progress? So we're going to dive in. And I just want to say before I move to the next slide that if you have a question, you can enter it in the chat. And I am going to answer those at the end, just to keep the flow of the presentation. So we'll have about 15 minutes at the end if you do have questions, but you can drop them in the chat at any time. And then I think Ellen and Karina will monitor those. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, why are you here? Obviously, we're talking about simplifying and organizing, but there's lots of different motivations you may have coming to this presentation. So maybe it's you feel like you have a lot of stuff. So that first photo you see, and you're not quite sure, you want to maybe declutter, downsize, but you're not sure where to start. Maybe it's that you want to spend more time with friends and family. I know many of you or some of you are retired or entering retirement, and you're thinking about how you want to spend your time. And maybe it's you want to go on a vacation, but your house or the stuff is weighing you down, and you do want to simplify so that you can travel more, so that you can see and spend more time with your grandkids. So always starting with why is very, very important. So how do we start with why? It's really about having a vision for your ideal lifestyle. And so oftentimes we don't always connect my ideal lifestyle and decluttering my home, but they are very connected. And so I'm going to invite you today. We're not doing any writing exercise, but as I ask these questions, I'm going to invite you to really consider what it is you want out of your life, the next 5, 10, 20 years and more. What is your ideal lifestyle? So let's say you're retired or entering retirement. How do you want to spend your time? Let's say an average Tuesday, like today, what does an ideal day look like? Do you want to have to kind of manage a lot of stuff in your house? Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to go spend time with your friends and go on a walk or go to the beach? What does an ideal lifestyle look like for you? And then the next question is around your home. What's an ideal version of your home? I mean, some of us might want to say, a mansion in the hills overlooking the bay is nice, and that is nice, but think about the home you have right now or what you want your home to be in the next few years. If your home was totally empty and then you could only put back in it what you want, what would you have? What wouldn't be there anymore? And then how do you spend your time in your home? So if you say that you love reading, but there's really no reading corner for you to read, or your bed isn't really a restful or peaceful place and you don't want to read there. So it's really about how you can curate and organize your home to support the things that you love. And again, experiences. What experiences are important to you, or special interests? I love hiking, and that's definitely a part of who I am. So I hike every day, literally. And I've just made that a part of my lifestyle. So again, what do you like to do in your home with your friends? Do you like to eat out? How can you incorporate more of that into your daily life? And then people. I think the older we get, the more we're really clear on who matters to us and really devoting and investing time in relationships. So is there something in your house that's keeping you from investing in people? Maybe you don't even want to have people over right now, but you actually do want to have people over. You want to have your friends over for some tea or breakfast. But if your house is keeping you from that, then it's time to make a change. So about me, this is a really quick one, but I am a mom of two. Hudson and Kalea are 4 and 6. And I started having some organizing issues when I became a mom and had a 1-year-old. So the picture you see in the middle is Hudson's room. And I really, every time I entered the room, it was chaotic and there was big toys and stuff everywhere. And I just could not get a handle on it. So I found myself moving things from room to room. And it wasn't until I was pregnant with my daughter and I realized I wanted to work part-time and start a business I want to learn more about organizing so I can get my own home under control and then help other people. So I took Marie Kondo's KonMari certification course. She wrote a book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And it really was transformative for me because it was this idea that tidying is a tool for self-discovery, learning more about who you are, what you love, what you want, and then organizing your life to fit that ideal lifestyle. So you're organizing your home and your things, but you're actually transforming elements of your life because you're doing more of what you love. You're spending less time feeling the weight of stuff that's getting in the way. I've been doing this since 2018. I started in Los Angeles. This is my 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. We moved here to Port Angeles in 2020. But I also coach new organizers for KonMari because there is a limited demand, let's say, for organizing here. But I do this every day. So I'm thinking about it. I get excited about it, and I am happy to answer any questions you have. So now we're going to kind of dive in. Anything you want to do starts with a commitment. So let's say you want to run a 5K. You don't just or a 10K or a marathon. You don't just leave your house the next day and run a half marathon. You have to commit to running the half marathon. You need to sign up. You need to sign up for the half marathon, the North Olympic Discovery Marathon, whatever it is. You actually have to make the commitment to yourself, no one else, because change will only happen if you want it. And I think some of us have experienced, some people are going to offer to help you organize your house, or they think they know what needs to go. That's not what I'm talking about. If you want to make a change, then you make a commitment to yourself and then you take action. But unless you take a commitment, kind of like touching and, tidying a little bit here and there, it's probably not going to make a big difference in your life. So you've got to commit. The next thing I want to say that, again, the true goal of organizing or simplifying is to live the life that you want. And one thing that's really helped me is this idea of the KonMari method. KonMari is just Marie Kondo's name in Japanese, KonMari, a combination of the two. And what she shares is kind of 6 steps or approaches that I'm telling you, you don't have to follow to a T. This is something that's worked for me and it's worked for, thousands of people, but you can grab the things that really resonate with you. You don't have to do everything. It's not necessarily one size fits all. So I'm going to go through these 6 steps and then we're going to kind of break it into this. Well, what does that look like in my house? So the first thing is commit to tidying or to organizing something. And usually people want to get organized when they're in a transitional phase of life. So let's say you are moving into retirement. Your life it can look very different. Let's say you're grieving and you lost a loved one that you lived with. That is very much a good time to pick up this process. Let's say you actually want to kind of shift the phase of your life. You were doing this. Now you want to spend a lot more time golfing. Maybe you actually want to live in Arizona half the year, like my neighbor. Who knows? But if you want to make a change, that is the right time. That is the right time. But you need to commit to making the change and taking the steps. Second, you need to imagine your ideal lifestyle. So we already talked about this, but really getting clear on how you want to spend your time and what you want to do. Third, this is a little bit of a different approach to organizing, but I think it's very valuable, and that's focus on what you want to keep. So if you're going in a room, some of us will kind of look for the thing that's maybe damaged or we can get rid of, and we get rid of one thing here and there. But the beauty of this is that you are setting an intention for what you want to invite into your life. So when you're going into your closet, when you're going into your kitchen, you're focusing on what you want to keep. And by getting really clear on what you want in your life, it's easier to let go of what you don't. The next thing, tidy by category, not location. The reason for this is that if we tidy the guest room and then move things around, and there's, pens in the guest room and pens in the kitchen and pens in the bedroom, then you're kind of moving pens from place to place. You're kind of making some progress, but then you're always just moving things around. It reminds me of when I had my son, and I'm just moving things from the kitchen to the living room back to. And so if you want to, tidying by category means, let's say it's a really small category like candles. You're going to take all the candles from your house, look at them all in one spot. That allows you to really assess how many candles you have, which candles you really like the scent of, and maybe which ones you just received as a gift that you just put on a shelf. And you keep the candles that you really love, and that maybe you put them in a new spot so you can enjoy them in the living room, and you can let go of the ones that are not serving you. There's literally dust all in the middle of the candle. We all have that candle. So you can, and I think it's also a reminder to use the candle. I think sometimes we can save things, keep it in the plastic. The more I do this work and set intentions, the more you burn the candle, you enjoy the candle, and then you can get a new one. So the next one, follow the right order. The KonMari method recommends there's this 5 categories. So start with clothing, then books, paper, miscellaneous items, including the kitchen, and then sentimental. I'm here to tell you that the whole reason that she designed those is essentially you start with the easiest first. That's all. And clothing really is the easiest because you wear it every day. You already make decisions about it. So starting with your tops, pants, socks, you wear these things every day. And you never want to start with your photos or mementos from years of collections from your family. We're not starting there. You're going to get hung up and then quit. So the idea is that you're building these muscles of choosing what you want in your life, letting go of what you don't. And how you do that is by asking yourself if it sparks joy. And that term is just a term. So I'm here to also going to help you unpack, what does that even mean? If something brings me joy, because your driver's license might not bring you joy, but it does support you in your lifestyle of driving around legally. So again, here's some questions to ask. And again, bringing it back to this central core, it's a lifestyle that revolves around embracing what brings you joy and letting go with gratitude of what doesn't. So does it spark joy? This is something that Marie Kondo has shared. Maybe you've heard it before. Joy is essentially a feeling and how your body responds. So not in the head, not thinking, well, I bought this shirt on, and I spent too much money for it, so I'm not going to let it go. So you're not in your head. You are just completely separating what your head is telling you and what your heart is telling you. So we're leading with the heart. So think about someone, a dear friend that brings you joy. Let's say you haven't seen them in years and you reunite, your body goes toward them. You walk over to hug them. You're really excited to see them. That's what I'm talking about. If you have, let's say, maybe it's a neighbor or a coworker that kind of bugs you, your body naturally kind of pulls away. You may avoid them in the hallway or wish you didn't see them in the grocery store. So it's the things that naturally bring us joy, the people, the things we gravitate toward. So if you hold up, a t-shirt, you could say, if I ask you, does this spark joy? How does it make you feel? If the first thing you say is, well, I liked it when I was, I gained a little bit of weight. I'm not sure. So that tells me right there, it doesn't spark joy. Right there. Your answer and your comment answered the question. But if you're like, oh, I love this shirt, I wear it every day, or I wear it all the time. So that's what brings you joy. I think it can get trickier of like a spoon or a pen, like, hey, well, I need pens, but some pens bring you more joy than others. Some we just get free going to an event and they're just in the drawers and then they just accumulate. And I think that's like a lot of our stuff. But you're going to, so if you were to take your pens, you take all your pens together and really pick the ones that you like to write with. And then the letting go of gratitude part. So if it's a pen you got in an event and it says, such and such bank, maybe you never use the pen. It's just sitting in a drawer. Then you can let it go with gratitude. You could donate it. You could actually even throw it in the trash if you want. But you've learned that maybe next time you're not going to take the pen because it's just going to sit in the drawer. So the letting go with gratitude is realizing something you learned that's going to change how you make decisions in the future. So if you bought a shirt that's on sale, but it doesn't really fit, and then you never wore it, you let it go so someone else can enjoy it, and you realize, I'm not going to buy it if it's on sale, if it doesn't fit. So it's about training your mind. Organizing is 90% in your mind to choose what supports you, it's part of your ideal lifestyle that brings you joy, makes you feel happy, and letting the stuff go that's just sitting there and accumulating. So I also realized, so that's the joy part. Happy to answer questions about that. But I also picked up recently this book, and I love what the author says. You can see in the screenshot there. She helps people go through their things before they pass. So let's say you want to get, you've accumulated a lifetime of things and you're ready to start downsizing. And you're thinking about the things that you love, but maybe you're the archivist for your family and you've got boxes of things from your mom, from your uncles, whatever. A great question is, will anyone be happier if I save this? So if you're saving a lot of china, I will tell you it's really hard to sell china because there's not a great market for it. It was hard to sell it in Los Angeles. No one bought china. That's really hard to hear for someone who loves, my mom included. I invited her to this. That's her favorite thing. I remember I asked her one point, what's the one thing you really want me to have? And she told me one set of her grandma's china. It's great to know that. But if you're saving all of these things that are really just personal for you, but because you want to pass it on, will anyone really be happier if you save it? I think it's a good question. I started asking myself this, and then the last one, does it support you and your lifestyle? Not only does it support you today, but thinking about what is your life going to be like in 5 to 10 years? What are you going to, how is your stuff today and into the future? If you have some skis in the garage, are you going to ski? Do you have an intention of skiing? If not, you can donate or sell those skis. I know there was like a repurposing winter gear festival recently. Now is the time. Okay, so the how, this can get overwhelming. So I'm just going to break it down into 3 steps. You're going to remove it all. So if I'm telling you, you're not going to remove everything. We're not talking about the garage right now. We're talking about by category. And so let's say we're talking about your closet, and maybe you're someone that has a lot of clothes. So you actually have your closet and you're using the closet in the guest room. You're not going to take it all out right now. That's going to be overwhelming. You're going to just keep breaking it down until it's manageable. So you're going to take out all of your sweaters. And I don't mean a few. I mean, you get a category and you take out every sweater you own and you put it in a pile on your bed. And you can see, wow, I didn't realize I had 20 sweaters. And then wait, how many sweaters do I wear? Maybe you actually wear a lot because here it's cold and I wear a lot of sweaters too. But maybe you get out all your, swimsuits and maybe you don't go. Anyway, whatever it is, you put them all there and then you joy check. So you take each sweater, ask yourself, sparks joy. Again, what that means is how does it make me feel? Not how much did I spend on it or someone gave it to me. It's a gift. The gift has been fulfilled the moment it was given to you. You have no indebtedness to the person who gave you something. How does it make you feel? And then if this sweater, it can be a really important part of your life a few years ago, but you just don't wear the sweater anymore. Sometimes by letting something go, you are creating space for something new to come into your life. That is a huge foundation of organizing. By letting things go that aren't serving you or supporting you, you're creating space for new things to come in, new things you want to learn, new things you want to do. And then lastly, you're going to store the items. You're going to completely do all your sweaters. You're going to joy check them. You can donate, maybe sell. I will have one word on selling. I find that clients who want to sell a lot of things, it can actually, you're just creating more decisions and actions and to-dos in your life. So if a client wants to sell every single piece of clothing that they're not keeping, that's a sign that it's going to take a while. Selling stuff can take a while. You could post it on Facebook Marketplace. There's consignment shops here locally. But most of the time, you're not going to get what you think it's worth, especially if you're selling China. You are not going to get what you think it's worth. Studies have shown that people are happier if they donate something and know it's going to a good cause versus trying to sell it and then not quite getting what they think it's worth. Because an item is only worth what someone will spend on it. Not if you bought a backpack and it was $100, it's definitely not still worth $100. It might be worth $10 because that's what someone will pay for it. So it's being really letting go of this, I need to sell it, or I don't have a lot of money. And that's okay. Some items really will sell and you could do that. But if you start to think, I'm going to sell everything, it is overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming. And again, you're going to start with the easiest ones first. And maybe you start, if you're ready to make a change and downsize or organize your home, maybe start making a list, literally, of easy categories for you. It could be like coffee cups in your kitchen. It could be candles. It could be sweaters. It could be pens, whatever that is. And you've made progress. So we're going to take a few minutes and I'm going to invite someone to share an organizing struggle or something that they maybe are dealing with right now that they would like advice with, or that they might want help with, or they're not sure what to do. You're not sure where to start or what to do. And then I'm just going to kind of talk through it a little bit so you can kind of see how I, as an organizer, what I do with clients is I just ask questions. That's really, I'm a support. And I ask clarifying questions. And so we're just going to spend a few minutes doing a quick demo on an organizing challenge that someone has. And I'm going to invite someone to, if you want to share, and again, we'll have questions at the end, that you could just raise your hand in, there's a function in Zoom, you can raise your hand, or you can literally just raise your hand. And then Karina is going to invite someone to unmute, and then we'll just have a conversation. And it's just going to be a few minutes. It's going to be pretty quick. Is anyone interested in sharing about something that's weighing on them in their home?
I see Dorothy raising her hand. Dorothy, you want to ask Kristin?
Okay, I couldn't unmute. I have I'm such a sentimental person, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Anyhow, I have collected cards and birthday cards, Mother Day cards, all kinds of cards that people have given me over the years, and I have shopping bags full. And I at one time called an organization here to see if I could take my cards for someone to reuse them, to recycle, and they said yes, and I missed that opportunity because now I haven't been able to get a hold of that person. But I feel I have to go through every card because I want to save some. And I'm so, and of course that runs over into just my system of not being able to let go of things. That's just a small thing, but I literally have shopping bags full of them that I feel I need to go through before I get rid of them.
Thank you for sharing. And these
What do I do?
These aren't blank cards. These are all cards that people have given to you with writing, correct?
Yes, yes. Sentimental cards, birthday
Yes.
cards with beautiful things that they have written to me.
Okay, well, I first want to say, well, thank you for sharing and being vulnerable. I will say almost all of us have something that we're working on. So you are not alone. Second, I would say that's actually a big thing. It's not an easy category like candles. That is the most, that's the most challenging thing. So for you to say it's a challenge, that is the most challenging category, is photos and sentimental cards and items. And so what you would do, sentimental can also take a while because you do want to go through it. And I understand that. And so what I always say is scheduling 3 hours to have your own, almost an organizing session with yourself can be helpful as the minimum amount of time. This is kind of recommended in the organizing world to see meaningful results. If you take 10 minutes and start looking at cards, you're going to get through the problem with like paper or postcards. Each paper is a decision, and there's a lot that's in that shopping bag. So it is going to take a while. But I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with looking at each card and then deciding, is this something you want to keep in your life? And do you need the card to keep the memory of that person? Obviously, there are some cards, it's a pretty card, and maybe they just wrote, "Happy birthday, Dorothy." You could probably, maybe let some of those go but if there's something that's a heartfelt message that was such a pivotal time of a moment in your life, there's absolutely nothing wrong with keeping those cards. And when you think about, again, is it going to bring you joy? Are you actually something to also think about is, are you going to revisit the card? Or has the card served its purpose when you go back and you reread it again? So when you reread this card from a dear friend, when you were in your 20s, did the card serve its purpose by you rereading it? Or by saving it, are you going to read it again? What's the intention of saving it? Are you going to reread it again? Do you want to save it for a future generation? Or is it seriously one of the most dear things for you? And then you literally go through the cards one by one, and then you think, how will all of these cards bring me joy? I'm going to put them in a special bag, not a plastic shopping bag. Once I find the ones I really love, I'm going to put them in a special basket or a bin. Maybe I want to do an album. That takes a little bit more time. So you got to be sure what you wanted. Maybe you're a scrapbooker, but essentially, how can I have all my cards in one spot? I remember even my grandma, she saved all of her precious cards in her hope chest. So ideally, the process itself, it sounds daunting, but believe it or not, the actual process can bring you joy. Rereading these cards from people who've said the most wonderful things about you or your experiences, that itself can be a very healing process. It seems daunting because of the volume. and you've accumulated these over your lifetime, but it can be a really joyful process. And I'm reminding another, my mom's about to downsize and she thinks that she's very overwhelmed. And I tell her it can actually be a joyful process. And sometimes, and then once you start reading them, you can separate by person. You can separate, there's lots of different ways to keep notes. You can separate by, my friend Marilyn gave all of these cards to me, and then I'm going to keep all my Marilyn cards together. Or these are from this group of girlfriends, or my family sent these, or my kids. I'm going to keep all my cards from my kids in one area of the box. I'm going to keep cards from my husband in another area. I'm going to keep love letter, So the whole, you're creating this capsule of notes from people that you've loved and have loved you throughout your life. And so it is hard and it's going to take some time. And so I would recommend scheduling the time, enjoying the process, getting a cup of tea, taking a few hours in an afternoon when you have good energy. So you're not doing this at 9 p.m. You're doing this at 9 a.m. When you feel good, you're going to schedule it in your day. And it's a process and it might take a few days, but I would say something you give yourself maybe a few weeks and say, next month, I'm going to start this and I'm going to attempt to finish this in the month of March. I'm going to go through these letters. I'm going to share letters. If you have a letter, you can, sometimes I've taken, a little snapshot on my phone of something that I found from a friend and wanted to send to her. It's a way that you can reconnect with people. So it can be a lot more joyful than it sounds right now. And I would just say, invite the good in and let go of anything that's making it feel kind of. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd want to say after I shared that before we move on?
Well, very, very helpful. I do try with when I get rid of things that a person has given me. I say a prayer, just blessing that person. I just say a prayer and let it go. But that's a little bit bigger thing, although maybe it isn't, than the cards. But all the ideas that you suggested are very helpful. I feel kind of encouraged. It's like, yes, I can do this. I can do this.
Good.
So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad that's helpful. Okay, so some other success tips, which I already shared with Dorothy, but tell a friend that you want to do this. So let's use her as an example. Just keep the train going. Tell a friend, hey, I really want to go through this. Or have a friend sometimes even just sit with you while you do it. They could just be on their phone or watching a show or reading a book. Having accountability really does help. Schedule it. So schedule 3 hours. I have worked with a number of older people who have said 3 hours is too much. And when I work directly, 2 hours is their maximum. So you need to know yourself. So as 3 hours, does that feel like way too much? Or 90 minutes maybe. But if you do less than an hour, you're probably not going to make a lot of progress. It's going to be small. So I would say more than an hour for sure to tackle something that is really meaningful to you. And you schedule it like you're scheduling a doctor's appointment. So you're not missing it. You're scheduling it for today at 3, and at 3 o'clock, you're starting. You can make it more joyful by inviting a friend. Again, treating yourself almost every time I schedule an organizing session with a client, 3 to 4 hours typically, I always buy a coffee afterwards. That's just my thing. I go to Rebel Heart Coffee or Black, whatever. I go get a fun coffee, and that's how I treat myself. And I'm not even organizing my stuff. But you want to do something that's good for you, and then set a deadline by the end of March. And again, even if you don't actually meet the deadline, that's okay. But if you don't set one, it's not really a goal. A goal has a timeline. And I will say, organizing your home does not happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in weeks. It usually happens over months. Organizing a room can absolutely happen in days or weeks. Organizing your whole home, it's like training for a marathon. It takes a while. It takes 6 months, a year, but it's absolutely possible in a year. And then one thing that's not on here that I love to do is you need to schedule a time when you're going to invite someone over. I love this. I'll schedule, not necessarily a dinner party, but I'll say, I'm going to invite, people over in 2 weeks. And before those 2 weeks, that's really motivation to get whether it's, well, for me, maybe we have this guest room that's kind of a mess. I'm going to get that guest room ready before we have guests that are literally staying in the guest room. But by inviting people over, that gives you an automatic deadline, event, accountability, because you're going to have people over. And for you, if you're not used to having people over, you want to, but you haven't, this is a great idea. Just invite a friend you really trust and know. You're not going to be embarrassed. Even if you feel embarrassed in some way by your home, you're going to invite the friend over and it's going to be fine. You can tidy up in the kitchen or living room, whatever, but inviting people over and having a date when they're coming over is so helpful. It's one of my number one tips. So we're kind of nearing for the end. So barriers and benefits. The number one barriers I hear is, I don't know how to get started. So we've talked about that. Or I don't have enough time. And I just want to talk about that one for a minute because it's really about prioritizing. So if this is important to you, then it's about creating time. And one of the best ways you can do that is by minimizing time you spend doing your daily tasks. So let's say you have like we all do, household tasks, laundry, cooking, cleaning. So let's say you choose one day where you're going to just have pizza. So there's no cooking, no cleaning, and you get an hour back. And you're using that hour to do something. But think about the things you do every day that already take a number, grocery shopping. You can get groceries, actually, you can go to the store and they'll bring them out to you and you save an hour. So if you feel like you don't have time, I'm just going to push back a little bit on that and think, how can you create the time? Okay, next, and then sometimes the barrier is money or energy. Money, you're saying, I can't donate things, I need these things. A lot of this you can most of it you can do by yourself, but you can also ask friends to help you. You can get support. What else was I going to say on that? Yes, and energy, again, you always want to only organize when you have good energy. You're not doing this at the very end of the day. Maybe you're tidying up, so you're just putting things back, but that's not really organizing. And then the benefits, every client who's organized their home feels lighter. That is the number one comment. They feel lighter. You think about how you want to feel in your home. You think the benefits are actually less stuff, but it's more time to do what you want to do. You don't spend as much time looking for things. You feel you enter your bedroom and it's how you want it to feel. It's calm. It's like a bedroom should feel conducive to sleep, and it's in the colors you want. So there are things you could, and then I put this picture. This is a client who is a quilter, professional quilter, and she wanted a store, and she does quilting as a job. So she has a lot of scissors, and all of these scissors spark joy for her. And she put them in sentimental mugs that as soon as she sees them, they're empowering mugs. They remind her of her time in New Mexico. She has the Wonder Woman, loves that. These are special mugs to her. So how can you incorporate joy, like Joy Plus, in your everyday life? Pulling things out of the woodworks, getting them out of the plastic of things that bring you joy, even using those for storage. I will say, as a professional organizer, you might think, why would people hire me? They can do it themselves. I think the two times when it can be helpful is if you have a project that feels overwhelming. So you've started a little bit here and there, but your garage is overwhelming and you need support. So again, you can invite friends and family members can be tricky because they're going to tell you what you need to do. And that's not always helpful. And then if you're on a deadline, so if you need to organize and be out of your house next week, you might need help. You might need professional help. You might need friends, but you might. And so those are two cases where if you're in a transition, that is where having professional help can be the most effective versus helping Dorothy go through the sentimental cards, for example. So just want to share that. And then I also want to share, no one wishes they waited longer. So to take that trip, to get started, to do the thing that you've been wanting to do. And I would just ask, what if you just started? What if? What would happen then? Even if you don't finish per se, you're still winning. You're still making progress. You're still enjoying the time you have in your home more than you used to. And what I've seen with family members, now that are retired, they spend a lot of time at home. They spend a lot of time at home. Yes, with friends, but yes, at home. And if your home doesn't bring you joy, and if your home feels heavy, it's probably weighing on you more than you think it is. And then, what if you never started? What if you just stayed the way that, the way things are the way they'll always be? That is a choice by not starting. That is a choice. Action steps. So we've talked about it. We've definitely stayed high level. The first step is learning. So you're here. You're learning about it. There are so many books, podcasts. You can go to YouTube and Netflix. I like Netflix is a very passive but enjoyable way to learn because you can watch shows on organizing, and doesn't mean you're going to pick it up like that, right? But it gives you ideas. It can be motivating. And sometimes motivating is the first step. And then start small. You can pick a small category in your home. Remember, easiest categories first. We're not starting with your photos. Pick a small category and then try it. Kind of give yourself the whole thing. Schedule it, give yourself time, treat yourself, motivating. Just try it and see what happens. Open the junk drawer and start separating by category. And then the last thing, really organizing is about your habits. And we didn't go into that a lot, but if you want to be an organized person, then you would do things maybe that an organized person would do. So you could make your bed every day for a month. If you skip a day, not a big deal. You could, if your ideal lifestyle is to be more active and walk more, maybe it's literally walking a mile every day for a month. My mom and I are doing this joint challenge it's called the 365 mile challenge. And you walk a day every day. You walk a mile every day for a year. Because for me, I needed a motivation to get outside when the weather is not good. And it's been great. Now it's a habit. Right before I pick up my kids from school, I go for a walk near the visitor center. Maybe it's tidy up 15 minutes before bed. I say this because this is a really effective habit for just keeping your house, putting things back, tidying up. So when you wake up in the morning, your house is ready to serve you versus demand something from you. So again, the try a new habit could go related to organizing or just doing something that aligns with your ideal lifestyle. That's kind of what I'm encouraging you to move closer to. So if you want to volunteer with hospice and sign up every month. So just think about how do I want to spend my time, and what's something you could do in your home as well as on a hobby that's going to make you feel more fulfilled every day. And those action steps and progress you make really does help. And that's it. So I just want to say thank you so much for attending. I'm going to open it up for questions. I also want to share how you can reach me. So my business is called Modern Refresh. I'm on social media. You can email me and you can go to my website. And then I also on my website on the very front have a ready to get started. And so if you have a certain circumstance like Dorothy where you want to talk through it, I'm happy to talk with you. Absolutely no charge. And you just book the free 20-minute consultation and we can talk through what that looks like for you. Or you need some help, or you had questions, but I wasn't able to answer them today. Happy to have another call. But yes, I'm a resource, even if you need to ask me about other resources so that you can do it yourself. 100% absolutely. Obviously, there's a lot to cover that we weren't able to talk through today, but there are lots of great resources out there. And sometimes even if you're feeling like you want to make a change, just talking it through with a friend, you can get new ideas and resources that you didn't think of before. So I would just encourage you to speak up and ask for help if you need it, ask for a friend, and to actually just take action, because that is probably one of the most important things, is just getting started just start and see where that journey takes you. And I think you'll learn a lot about yourself. You might think you already know yourself really well, but you learn even more when you process your stuff. You learn even more, and it can be a fun journey. So thank you for allowing me to share with you today. And again, feel free to reach out if you have questions or want to talk through scenarios, and happy to help.
Thank you, Kristin. I know I feel inspired. Wish I had the rest of the day off to go home and take advantage of my new motivation. But thank you so much. So many great tips to help us tackle what can be a very daunting project, but little at a time, start with the easy stuff. I can handle that. So thank you so much, Kristin.
Yes.
And thank you to everyone who shared. And as usual, if you would like more information related to decluttering, we've put together a list of resources, and I will email this out, and it'll have hyperlinks to take you to everything. But I've got Kristin's website there and Marie Kondo's website, and then some books that we have here in our collection. This is just a sampling of books that we have available in various formats, print and ebooks. So if you're trying to avoid bringing another book into your house, there is the ebook. So a little something to keep you motivated. And our next intentional aging is going to be 4 weeks from today, thanks to February. March 21st, we'll be on the 21st again. And this is going to be our redo. This is what we were going to do in December, and the snow had other plans for us. So we will be finally discussing Lisa Genova's book, Remember, The Science of Memory and the Art of Forgetting. We'll explore the concepts she presents. She's a neuroscientist and an acclaimed author. She wrote the novel Still Alice, which was made into a really powerful film also about a woman suffering from early onset Alzheimer's. So in this book, Genova talks about how memories are made and how we retrieve memories and how our brains are not designed to remember every single thing. So just because we can't remember something is not necessarily cause for alarm. And so with this book, you learn the factors that go into committing something to memory, which can help you remember the things you want to remember and feel a little less rattled when you don't remember something. So we have print copies available that you can borrow from the library. We've got those at the Sequim and Port Angeles branches. Anyone at the West End who wants a copy, just send me an email or call your branch and they'll let me know to send a copy out to you. Also, you can access the ebook copy. So if you go into the Knowles catalog or into your Libby app and just search Remember Genova, you'll find links to help you access that title. So, and as always, everyone is welcome to join the discussion with or without reading the book. There will be lots of interesting ideas to talk about. So that is it for today. Thank you to Kristin for being here with us. And thanks to all of you for joining in. And thanks to the Knowles Friends of the Library organizations across the county. So take care, everyone, and watch for your email in about a week. And I will look forward to seeing you all in March. Bye-bye.